This is Tim from Contentstack. And so recently we've been getting a bunch of questions about how data modeling works when you have a headless CMS that's more of a platform nowadays, where you have visual building, you have data modeling, and you have all these other extras. Like, how do you deal with your data modeling? Where does what live and how do things interact? And so let's just dive into it, because there's a few basic things that you should know to make yourself more successful in the long run. Look at my website. This is, I think, the simplest and nicest way to explain what I'm going to be talking about, because I've tried to explain this stuff with like super fancy, like buzzwordy terms and nomenclature, and it's really hard to land what all these, abstract things. So let's just look at it. If you can see here, this is my website, right? And everything is like lovely and visual editing. And for example, when I open the form here, I have a bunch of like design related things. I can say, well, make the text smaller or put it on the right, stuff like that, right? And so then there's some rich text component, and then there's a component that lists my videos, on and on. This one lists my articles, there's some talks. And so there are two different types of content on this page. And you really need to start to understand the difference between these two types of content to know how to data model your site. So this one is my hero component. This is a movable block, right? I can just move this down, and it kind of I can change this kind of every week, just for like putting a new picture in it or slightly changing the title or changing the links. This is quite volatile. This is fully my landing page. This is the first thing you see. I won't be using this next year or even next week. I could completely change this all the time. But then the other type of content that you see here is this list of videos. Well, the fact that this is a latest videos list with a little bit of text, that is again this more design related, like this lives on my landing page. But these videos themselves, these are actually data that I will reuse across my different channels. Maybe I make an app on my phone. Maybe I get so famous from my YouTube that I build a list of all my videos on a different place on a different website. This is my domain data. The same goes for my blog posts, right? These blog posts might live on my website, but they will also live on dev.to, they will live on Medium, they might live on the Contentstack blog, right? So these are again pieces of writing that I have created that I want to show in different places and reuse across the years, or and the same things for my blog, like my conference talks. So the fact that I have two of those things here together, one is live streams, one is talks, that is actually a design choice I made. But the fact what these talks are, that's not a design choice. And so the content or data for these talks or these live streams or these articles doesn't contain anything design related, right? For example, this is a good example here. So this is my list of articles, which is a design component, because in design I can say, you know what, feature the first one and make the rest small. Like, these things are design related and they are contained to my component that I have on this page on my landing page. But if I just go to one of those articles, I can also edit these in here. You see, this data model has nothing to do with how it looks. It's just the data. So when we look at these data models, you really get different things going on, right? So I have an article that is very specific, and I will use this in like 5 years. It's exactly like this. I might enrich it a little bit, but it lives with me. And this also makes sure that if I have this, there's no other place where I show this where it has to look differently. I'm not going to have to add this, because what you see over time when systems get bigger, and let's say in this article data model, I would have said image has to be bigger. So you can check the checkbox, and on the website the image looks bigger. But then in 2 years you're building an iPhone app and you realize, I don't even use that checkbox. Let me just remove it. And then suddenly the website across the world dies because it doesn't have the checkbox anymore, right? Separate how it looks from your actual data. And the fancy terms for that are volatile data, which is how it looks, And then you have domain data, which is what, that's your core of what you might reuse to the future. And so as you can see, I have all these things like talks, timelines, videos, but then there's the page. And the page is really just not that much. It's just SEO data basically, and a whole bunch of components. And these are all about how it looks. And these are reusable across different pages, and they might point to other things that are more domain driven that you don't change, but they themselves make sure it looks a certain way. And so if you can separate those two out, it becomes very simple to build your site. You have your core domain data that you just reference to things, and you have your creative work. And so when you separate those things out, it's also a lot easier for content editors to kind of understand where they are allowed to touch stuff and where they are not allowed. And yeah, this is kind of what I wanted to say. And I've been trying to talk about this for quite a long time, because you have all these people that say, I have this amazing Figma design. I'm going to grab every component that I have and I'm going to make a data model for all of this stuff and I'm just going to fill out my website. But what happens if you then want a list of your videos? And then on another page, you also want a list of your videos. Are you going to just reconnect these videos every time? Or are you going to build one component that points to 3 videos? And these videos you don't have to touch because they exist already, right? There's a difference in how this works. And so I hope this helps. And I know this is kind of still quite abstract, but this really will help you if you grow your content over the years. If you have, like, we have a lovely customers that do this to the max. They would have 9 tenants with different brands that use this approach, and it works incredibly well. So feel free to watch all our content on our academy, because we talk about this kind of data modeling related stuff quite a lot. And so you can also come to our Discord, link in the description, or you can just reach out to me personally and I can show you how this all works. Anyways, happy coding. Cheers.